You're listening to Big World Network.
Amazing Grace, Episode 5. Written by James Hellvig, read by Meagan Hedin. With a startled oomph that partially dislodges her mouthpiece, Mother Steele lands on the mat hard. She hears Brenda's subdued sniffling and turns to see the elderly woman sprawled on the floor, clutching a bloody nose. Kat stands with her arms folded across her chest, her face immobile, watching as Dale presses his attack on Anna. A flurry of barely evaded or blocked blows has the grim-faced teen breathing hard as she desperately tries to put some distance between herself and her uncle. Dale stays close, his hands and elbows barraging Anna, forcing her to put her guard up, thus exposing her midsection. Bringing his right knee up, Dale explodes forward with a vicious front kick straight into the middle of Anna's stomach, knocking her backwards and forcing her to double over as she slams roughly to the mat, face first. Eyes hard, Dale removes his mouthguard and puts his hands on his hips, squashing his personal feelings. In a stern tone, he says mildly, "Major, we're supposed to leave in 4 days for New York. If you can't get these people to work together as a team by then, speak to me now." Stepping onto the mat, Kat replies crisply, "Aye, Sergeant Major. We'll be ready." Snorting derisively, Dale turns on his heel, ignoring the 3 women who are lying on the mat, hurting. "Doubtful," he says, walking quickly from the room. Holding her stomach and groaning, Anna rolls over, her tears falling to the mat as she struggles to catch her breath. Kat looms over her, looking down and cocking her head to one side as she asks, "You still sure this is what you all want to do?" Gritting her teeth and wiping her nose with the back of her hand, Anna sits up, slowly spinning around to face her aunt. Looking at the grim expressions on both Mother Steele's and her grandmother's faces, she growls angrily, "He's not going to make us quit." Suppressing a grin, Kat extends a hand to help each of the women up, handing Brenda a towel for her seeping nose. "All right then, let's go over what you did right first, and we'll address the mistakes after that." Seeing the attentive and determined faces assembled before her, Kat affords them a small smile. "They're sure not lacking in guts. Dale was right. Treat them like troops and rally them against a common foe. Him. I know it's got to be tearing him up to smack them around, though. Oh well, the more you bleed in training." Tammy cleans the procured weapons and adds them to the growing arsenal she's been assembling. She has spent the last 3 weeks taking down local drug dealers and gang members from different boroughs, keeping large amounts of cash and an assortment of automatic weapons. The waterfront storage facility is perfect for her needs. Using a homeless man as a cutout, she has rented the storage area, paying cash for a year's term. Large and run down, it has been simple to convert a rear corner to a secure sleeping space and equip it with a small fridge and cooking stove. Musing about the time spent adding locks and dual exits, Tammy sighs. 2 friggin' weeks. It sucks being the head cook and bottle washer. A few more days and I'll have a secure facility to operate from. Looking around the maze she's deliberately put together, Tammy nods in satisfaction, mumbling aloud, "It's a start." Reclining back and closing her eyes, she reviews the intelligence she has gathered so far. "You'll know I've contacted the priest and that cop. I'll start counter-surveillance there. Let's see who's watching and how, shall we?" Thoughts randomly flit across her mind and finally come back to Anna. I wonder how much hell she's giving Dale. Chuckling softly, Tammy drifts off to sleep. Sipping coffee, Father Bernard scowls at the police captain sitting across from him in the small diner. Mac pours a dollop of whiskey into his own simmering cup, stirring it with his finger. "A bit early for that, isn't it?" the irritated priest chides. Blowing on his cup, Mac stares at the man and shrugs, saying softly, "You deal your way, and leave me mine, Padre. Did you call me here to bitch about my habits?" Fiddling with his cup, Father Bernard looks around the sparsely occupied diner and leans forward, whispering conspiratorially, "No, I think I'm being watched, and followed." Rolling his eyes and leaning back in the booth, Mac grunts and takes a large gulp from his cup before replying, "That's because you are. So am I, and they want us to know it. Professionals wouldn't be so sloppy." Eyes widening in surprise, Father Bernard blurts, "Then why don't you grab one of 'em?" Motioning with a single finger in a come closer gesture, Mac leans forward and says loudly, startling the priest, "Because they're idiots! They don't know anything, they're just useless bait. Someone is trying to gauge a reaction by either our response or Tammy's. The fools you've seen watching you are being watched in turn by the real pros." Nodding in response and reddening in embarrassment, Father Bernard asks sheepishly, "So if you know that—" Sighing, Mac grumbles, "I'm not good enough, Padre. Pure and simple. I've had my people trying, but we haven't tagged the Watchers." Frowning, Father Bernard ventures, "So, do you think Tammy or Dale—" Shrugging again, Mac scans the diner and looks back at the worried man. "I would guess so. All this cloak and dagger crap scares the shit out of me." The waitress swings by, tiredly refilling their mugs before ambling back towards the kitchen. Mac's eyebrows raise in surprise when Father Bernard's hand stretches across the table, palm up, and the older man asks quietly, "You wouldn't mind sharing your coffee creamer, would you?" Grinning, Mac hands the silver flask to the priest, watching as he pours a glug into both cups. Taking a small sip, the priest grimaces as Mac returns the flask to his jacket pocket. "Gad," Father Bernard croaks, "this stuff is awful." Nodding in agreement, Mac answers mildly, "Yep."
This has been a presentation of Big World Network. Visit us on BigWorldNetwork.com for more free weekly series, or follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for listening.
You're listening to Big World Network.